and I suppose in another 40 years I may not be here. Persons then, would be seeing things that were never the case in this current situation. But that is how the world is today. We all should be good stewards though, and do the necessary protection that we can to ensure that we mitigate any challenges going into future, so that our future generations can cope with whatever they have to deal with at that point in time. So continue to look towards the east, and I say the east because pretty much most of the storms, except a few, will come out of the west. Most of the storms that affect us will come out of the east, which is across the Atlantic Ocean and into the Caribbean. So ladies and gentlemen, yes, it's another week of this program. I want to, at this point in time, I believe though, last week I forgot to touch on something, and it was an important bit of information that I did not touch on. I had the booklet that I was supposed to look at, and I somehow misplaced it last week. It was among the items that I had here, but this week I will not overlook it, because even though the 40th anniversary of our independence has gone, that we would have, or we celebrated our 40th anniversary on the 19th of September. But as we know, when independence celebrations are, the activities are put together, it is for an entire month or more. So even if the 19th have gone, then we can still talk about independence, because today is National Colors Day as well too. Today you should be out there wearing red. I should have been wearing red, but I didn't even know today was that case. But I went around the island, and I went over to the St. James Primary School, and I'm here at Von Radio, and I'm seeing the ladies here in red. So I was wondering, well, what is so special about red today? And I was reminded that today should be, and I should have been wearing a red shirt of some form. But I will admit that I don't have any red shirts unless somebody donate one to me for one day, because red is not necessarily my favorite color, but it's a color on the national flag. And what has been happening over the last couple of weeks is that different Fridays you are asked to wear a different color, which is considered a national color connected to the national flag. And so we had yellow in the past, we had black, I believe 2 Fridays ago, and then white, and of course today is red, and then green is also one of those colors as well. So that is our way of showing our patriotism and our connection to our national flavors around here, and that one of the national flavor is the national flag, which is symbolic of our independence and symbolic of our freedom and independence, I would say, and symbolic of us as a people, because when we see it anywhere being flown in any international arena, we are all beaming with pride, saying it's the best, I wonder if I can put it this way, the best looking flag there is in the world. That is the pride and joy that we display when we see our national flag. So today is just one of those days we wear the red, that color, and many people have adorned themselves with that color today. Unfortunately, I am not wearing any color today representing the national flag. I have on a blue shirt. What that represent? I represent my party. At least it represents something. But anyway, that was just a little aside really. But the point I was trying to make is that we had our Independence Parade and celebration down there at the E2 Willett Park on September 19th. And indeed, it was a spectacle, yes. And there were 10 persons who were awarded on that day. They were given Independence Award. And the awardees, I was supposed to mention those names last week. And unfortunately, like I said, I misplaced the booklet. But I have it today. And I want to read into the records the persons who were celebrated down there on that day in terms of the persons who received awards. And I think these are 10 important persons. And before I read the names, I want to say that the requirements or the criteria for selection of these persons, it goes far and wide in that there are many different things you can look at to identify someone who would have contributed to the point where you can offer them these awards, or these individual awards, I should say. So the names I'll read, and then I'll expound a little bit more. But the list of honorees from the 19th of September, first and foremost, is Mr. Godwin Brown. Those of you who are not familiar with that expensive name, this is Mike. He has a farm down there in the river. He is a farmer. He's an agriculturist, and he has been farming for many, many years. He has been a farmer even when he was a civil servant. And Mike has been cultivating some decent amount of acreage down there. Can't say exactly how many acres, but it's about 5 acres, which is phenomenal. It's good in the context of Nevis, and I want to say that Mike has been at this for many, many years. I want to commend him because Mike is one who is a part of the overall thrust for us to get to the state and point where we have food security here on the island of Nevis. And indeed, his items that he has cultivated have ended up not only in St. Kitts but also further afield. I know he would send his sorrel down to St. Martin during the Christmas season as well, and other items, because he do have family members and family connection down there. I personally know of that, so that is why I'm mentioning that. And Mike, I want to commend you on your award. You have worked over the years to achieve such award, and indeed you're certainly building a legacy, one that we can all be proud of when it's all said and done. So Mike was the first one on the list. Of course, we had also Miss Bernadette Wallace, or Mems as she's affectionately known. Everyone know of Mems Pizzeria up there at Victoria Road. And if you have never gone there, pay her a visit and sample or taste one of her pizzas. But she don't only make pizzas, she give you a full course meal there. You know, you can get your lunch, you can get your dinner. You can get, on the weekend, your goat water and other tasty dishes on the weekend as well. So she is open, I believe, 7 days a week, because on Sunday evening she's open as well too. And she has been in the business for many, many years, and I want to commend her for her efforts. She has had her challenges over the years, of course, but she keep coming back. And I want you to continue to patronize that establishment, Mems Pizzeria, because indeed she employs people there. She purchases her items from the abattoir, from the market, so our farmers would benefit from her business place. Indeed, she import items from overseas, so the government benefits in terms of taxes, custom duties. So when you see these small businesses, it is not just a business that is sitting down there isolated. There is a rippling effect throughout the economy when you look at a business like Mems Pizzeria and similar business types as well. But it is not necessarily just a business sitting down there, but one that is contributing to the overall economic development of Nevis. Because I said she's employing persons. Indeed, those persons' social security deductions are paid, and of course other things are deducted from their wages, plus they use those funds to pay their bills, utilities, that kind of thing. So it is a cycle, and everything has some connections. There's some interconnectivity when it comes to business and the application to our economy. Of course, we had community service. On the community service was Mr. Courtney Bryant from down the range. Courtney, congratulations. Courtney is a gentleman who you can call upon any day, any hour, any minute, and he has been involved in the bus service for many years. Multiple buses he have owned over the years, and indeed in the community, like I said, he has played his part in the Brick Hill area. He has done so throughout Nevis, because he have a lusty voice as well, to a very good voice, and him and also Patricia Jeffers, we used to call them Dick and Shirley Morris, if you're familiar with those names from gospel music. So they would perform at various churches, their church, other churches, and other community events. So he has made his mark along with others, but I want to specifically single him out for the contribution he has made over the years to the overall development of Nevis and raising a family and being a decent member of the Brooklyn community and the Nevisian community at large. Of course, on the construction we had Mr. Kenneth Ferguson and Mr. Steroy Gargo Pemberton. Well, Kenneth Ferguson, we all know him. He has done numerous construction projects throughout the island of Nevis. Currently lives over there in Jessups. But where's Kenneth from originally? Anyway, I believe it's Jessup. I don't know, but I know him well. But where he's originally from, but he has made his contribution there in Jessups. He has constructed houses throughout the island of Nevis, and indeed his work is there to be seen. When I was the Minister of Agriculture, and specifically the minister responsible for NHLDC, he would have built multiple houses for the Nevis Housing and Land Development Corporation, and I believe by and large the quality of his construction speaks for itself, because you judge a contractor by the complaints or non-complaints. You judge a contractor by the way he manages his construction and also the timeliness of his work. So there are a lot of different criteria and conditions you look at. And in Kenneth's case, and I can specifically speak for Gargo as well too, Mr. Pemberton, Steroy Pemberton, because all of these contractors we have here on the island of Nevis have been held to a higher standard. And since 1989, when we had Hugo visit our shores, a lot of the construction technology and also the method of construction would have changed over the years due to the passage of various ordinances and laws connected to the construction industry, and all of these contractors would have had to adhere from time to time. And I use the word time to time. I say time to time, but they always have to adhere. Don't get me wrong. But from time to time, if they do not adhere, then of course planning will intervene. But over the years, I'm sure planning, if they were to do a report on the work done by Kenneth and also Steroy Gargo Pemberton, they would say that these two gentlemen, along with others, but I'm specifically speaking about these gentlemen now, would have adhered to the construction standard and the quality that we expect to have here on the island of Nevis. Gargo, I understand, is not on the island, but he's seeking medical attention abroad. If you're listening, Gargo, I want to express from myself my desire for you to recover as quickly as possible, and may you continue to be on the improvement side of things and come back to Nevis to contribute further to the development of the island of Nevis. Of course, moving right along on the culture, we had Miss Irma Johnson. Irma has been involved in culture for a number of years. When I say a number of years, don't even start putting a number to it, because I believe Irma can safely say she has been involved in culture for her entire life. So Irma, I don't know how old you are, but if you've been involved for your entire life, well, it's been a long time. And she was around back in the days of NEDAX, and then when Culturama was taken over by the Nevis Island administration, of course, she was still involved, and still involved up to today, because if there's a troop tomorrow morning or next year for the 50th anniversary, I am certain that Irma, once she's alive, and I wish her good health so that she can be around for the 50th anniversary, I am sure Irma would adorn some sort of costume or dress to get onto the streets of Parade and show herself down there in Charlestown. So Irma, I want to thank you for your effort over the years, and this island is eternally grateful for your time, energies and efforts to ensure that our culture remains alive. Same thing with Mr. Leroy Paris Jr. Leroy have been around the field of music for a number of years, since he was born, because I recall his dad having this band down there at Four Seasons from the inception then, Caribbean Roots, and way back then Junior was still involved in the music industry and still producing good music. He's one of the sweetest band players here on the island of Nevis. So, and not only that, he has also passed on his knowledge, and that is how legacies are built, whereby you learn something but you don't keep it to yourself. You pass it on, and then those who get that knowledge would also in turn pass it on as well. So Junior has been doing that for a number of years. He's involved with our young children in the primary schools here on the island. Of course, he has had exposure to various groups or different persons who are adults who would have formed steel bands around here, and he would be their musical instructor, so he continued to play his part. So I commend both Irma and Leroy Paris for their work and their exploits in culture and indeed in entrepreneurship. We had Mr. Dale Claxton, who is an heavy equipment operator here on the island of Nevis, have multiple pieces of equipment. He works for the government, he works for the private sector, he works in Nevis, he works in St. Kitts, and I'm sure if he's called to go further afield to show his skills and his worth, he will do so. But he has done a good job here on the island of Nevis to help with the infrastructural development of the island of Nevis, and I want to wish him well with his business and continue to press on, sir, because you have been recognized in this fashion for what you have done in the past. What you have done in the past is there to show into the future, but you can do more, and if you can do more, continue to press on and continue to help us to build the island of Nevis. Of course, Mrs. Jessica Scarborough, she was recognized in the area of health. Jessica has been a nurse for pretty much since she left high school, I suppose. She has been in it for a number of years, more than 30 years. And 30 years you become an institution in that regard. And I will say to you that Nurse Jessica has touched the lives of many of our citizens here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, more so in the island of Nevis. She worked at the hospital up until her retirement, and indeed many persons would know of her in terms of her connection with Urology Associates, or the name of that company. But the company that normally would offer us those free screening prostate examinations in January of every year. She's associated with that, and indeed that is her service as well that she's offering at a different level, in a different category, and we want to commend her, and we want to wish her well and wish her good health moving forward as well. And then finally we had religion, Mr. Pastor Arthur Freeman from up there in Rollins Hard Times area. Pastor Freeman is one who can look unassuming, but he's a powerful speaker. And when he speaks, he's so articulate, so clear, and so understandable that you cannot miss what he's saying. And I want to thank you, Pastor Freeman, for being a trailblazer in the pastoral area of pastoring. I want to commend you for your effort over the years, and I know you have transformed and changed many lives here on the island of Nevis. We want you to continue to press on in that regard, because we all need salvation at some point. We all need that biblical teaching, and we look towards persons like you who have been trained in that area, who have the experience, and who have the knowledge, and also who knows how to deliver. We thank you for your efforts over the years. All of these persons, along with all others who would have gotten recognitions over the years, have contributed to the Nevis that we have today and the overall development of the island of Nevis, and I want to thank everyone. I spent some time on it, and sometimes I come here, there's no need to rush into politics and other things. We're not in a 2020 match here on this program. We're in a test match. We have a long way to go, so there's no need to be rushing here and rushing there. I wanted to pay homage and recognition to these 10 persons, and I forgot to do it last week, and I'm so happy that I was able to get it done this week. Not only that, I've paid recognition to those. There's some young persons who I also want to recognize this afternoon as well, because last night down there at the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park, there was a ceremony held down there, Youth Impact 12 Award, Well, I believe the 12 stands for 12 persons to be recognized. Last night there was only 9 persons or 9 young persons who were recognized at a lovely ceremony there. The decor was excellent, well done, and well, there was some food, but I don't like to talk about food. All the food that is prepared here in Nevis, I think, A1. So, food was good. And the ambience was good. And the fellowship and the activity on a whole received my high marks and high commendation as well. So, let me commend all of the organizers. The Director of Youth, Miss... forget, Miss Clark. Curtis, yes. And sometimes you have this little lapse here. Curtis, I apologize, but Curtis is the Director of Youth, and she was the one who spearheaded this particular activity. I want to commend you and your team for pulling off an excellent night out where we went out to show support and recognize all young people for their exploits thus far in their tender years. Well, I want to just recognize those persons who were given awards last night, or the awardees. First, Chris Clark in volunteerism. Chris works with the Red Cross, and of course the profile was read by, those excellent young ladies who gave a nice pictorial, a nice what should I call it? Well, they had a nice display in terms of the dramatic display, that is, of the information they were imparting in terms of the profile of all of these awardees. 2 young ladies, I forgot their names, but that's okay. I believe the entire thing was recorded to be shown at some point on NNC, the Nevis Television, the government-owned television station. There were other media houses there, I'm sure. But at some point, the Nevision public will get a chance to see the entire activity that was held there. And it will be good for persons to seek it out and have a look. Since you were not there, you'll get a chance to view what transpired. But Chris Clark was recognized for volunteerism. Elisel Ramirez, I hope I'm pronouncing this gentleman's name correctly. He was recognized as Youth in Performing Arts. And Heidi Tyson was recognized in as an extraordinary youth in agriculture. Jalden Myers was recognized as a youth in sports excellence. Jonathan Ward was recognized as a youth in cultural and historical preservation. Kerisha Powell was recognized as a youth in development. And of course, Shabana Powell was recognized in education and lifelong learning. Tivan Brown, health and wellness. He was recognized as a youth in that area. And last but not least, a gentleman who is really blazing a trail, Wentworth Smitten, as a youth in the culinary arts. So he's a chef and he's making waves, and he seems to be enjoying that area of his choice of profession. And I wish all of the youth well. We certainly were happy to be there to lend the support. The Premier was there. Minister Eric Evelyn was there, Minister Brand was there, and of course the Minister responsible for youth, Honorable Troy Liebert, and also Honorable Janelle Nisbet was there as well. So those cabinet ministers were there showing their support to the young people, and we all need to continue to embrace our young people, because as I sit here today, in a few years or whatever the period of time is, someone else will pick up a program, not necessarily this, but a similar program, who will be younger than me, who is taking over from those of us who would have exited this stage. So that's why we need to lift our young people up. The same way we can show the respect and regard to the older folks, we want to ensure that we are paying respect to our young people as well, because all of us are needed individually and collectively to build the island of Nevis. So I spent some time there on those 2 important segments, because it is important for us to recognize those who would have contributed and continue to contribute, because they need our support, they need our blessings, and it is through these particular show of support they can do better and get better as time go by. Moving right along, this morning I was happy to pay a visit to the St. James Primary School to hand over two 50-inch smart TVs or televisions. They were not from myself. Of course, those were donated to the school by Mr. Carl Cornelius. And those of you from the Brooklyn area, we know him as Tring. Not String, Tring. You see, there's something about nicknames. My nickname is Zook, and I love my nickname. The same way, Carl nickname is String. He loves his nickname too. You know, we have some unique names over there like Fowl and Tukak and Fuskak and all kind of names over there. As does every community, but that's the flavor we need. Good flavor. You know, it can be fun and games at times, And so in our upbringing, all of us seem to have had some name we consider a nickname, a name that we identified by. Some would have diverted from that over the years and said they don't want to be called that anymore for whatever reason. But I know this gentleman, Carl Cornelius, his nickname is Tring, and he has never ever diverted from that, no matter where he go. They say you can take a man out of the country, but you can't take the country out of the man. So he has maintained that connection and has embraced the island of Nevis and the community of Brick Hill. So he has sought to give back. So we had a discussion some months ago when he was here. And I say months ago, but it might have been during the Culturama period, or just prior to that, because he comes regularly. So we had a discussion and we were there talking about the good old days, you know, when we were going to Whitehall School, the old Whitehall School, which was down there, opposite that playfield in the Whitehall area. And then we were talking about St. James Primary School. We spoke of the teachers that we interacted with, the teachers who we considered to be those teachers who gave us a hard time, and those who loved us and were loving about their support for us. And we also spoke about the games we played. We talked about the challenges we had then. We talked about everything to do with those days when we went to school at Whitehall and also up there at the St. James Primary School. I might be conflicting some dates there here, but we left the Whitehall School somewhere around 1978 or 1979 thereabout. Well, somewhere around there. I can recall it was either of those years. I'll have to get that straight. But anyway, in our discussions, I told Carl, listen, perhaps you and other persons in the diaspora can start making certain contributions to your alma mater as well, in terms of something tangible, TVs, computers, monetary contribution, because you know in the United States you hear of universities and various schools, they have endowment programs, or you hear the word endowment, which really is persons or organizations affiliated with the school, whether they would have gone to the school or someone from a company that would have gone to that particular school. They think about giving back. Some give back and some don't. In the United States, though, for example, some may not give back because they would say to themselves, well, I went to the university, I paid for my degree, I paid my way through, so it was business. Yeah, it was business. So I paid for my schooling and I got my degree, I got my certificate, so there's no need to give back. In some cases, some see it differently, they make those contributions. But here in Nevis, all of the primary schools and the high schools are funded by government. And that is why I continue to encourage our people in the diaspora to make the contribution back to the school that you'd have gotten your start and your foundation. And it was along those lines that we had this discussion with Carl and discussions with others as well. But I'm focusing on the donation that was given by Tring or Carl. So he decided that he will procure two televisions, 50-inch televisions, and he will ship them to Davis. Now, where I came in, I was the one who paid for the shipment, of course. That is fine. It is not about me. That was my contribution to support his effort. And indeed, the Nevis Island administration, the necessary taxes and custom duties were waived. So I want to thank the folks at the Ministry and Department of Education for coming on board and offering the necessary approval of those waivers. So the TVs or televisions were received, and they were donated or handed over to the principal there at the St. James Primary School, Miss Catherine Wilkinson, and also we had someone from the Department of Education, or the Education Department. Well, the name. Well, we had a representative from the Department of Education, or Education Department, which I thank her for being there, and indeed the school children who were there during the handing over, and also teachers who were there as well. I want to thank you for receiving these gifts, and I want you to put them to good use in that. With these smart TVs or televisions, then of course there are a lot of things you can do. These days you can share screen from your phone to your TV, you know, using the internet, of course. And indeed, with, as I mentioned this morning, we have the football competition that is coming up shortly. They can definitely show a couple of games, teach a couple of skills to the students. They're using these smart TVs, and indeed there are certain educational programs that can be shown in these classes using the televisions as a means of capturing the attention of the students there. So they can be used for a number of things. There are multiple uses that can be engaged with these televisions, and I want to thank Carl through this medium, and I want to thank him on behalf of the St. James Primary School. Of course, they will do what they have to do to get that message to him as well. But I also want to encourage others out there who are listening. If you would have attended the St. James Primary School, Whitehall School, VOJN, well, previously Combermere Primary School, or any other school here on the island of Nevis, nothing is too small, nothing is too great. Whatever you intend to do, just use the correct means and medium to get it done, so that these resources can be had in our schools. Every item that you donate to a school here on the island of Nevis is one less item that the school will have to lean upon the ministry or Department of Education to get, which ultimately ends up being an expense that all of us will carry anyway, because it has to come out of the treasury. But those of us who would have gone through the system and have gained so much from the schooling we've had and the foundation that we've had, you're asked to make your contribution in whatever means you have. Contribute, because it will go a long way in building a legacy for you and for the school, and for those to come. Those who are there now and those to come can certainly benefit once these items are taken care of and you know, left there for the use of those who would use them going into the future. So thank you once again, Carl, and the school is very appreciative of your contribution and your effort, and I'm hoping that you're hearing. But if you're not hearing, I'll tell you, go to YouTube and pull up On Point for today, and of course whenever the feed is available for that particular ceremony, short ceremony this morning, I'll let you see that you would have gotten all of the recognition that you deserve. Thank you once again, and I encourage one and all to do similar things for the school of your choice, or the school you'd have had your roots, upbringing and foundation from. Okay, moving right along from there. Now, I would have listened to the press conference of the Premier earlier this week. I think it was on Tuesday, I believe it was. And he did mention that we're moving along with the plans to develop and expand the Vance Amory International Airport. Those plans are still progressing. As we have said in the past, once we have information and once we have updates, we'll provide that to the general public. Indeed, we have been working over the last couple of months, almost a year, working on the land matters over there in the Newcastle area, the lands that are needed and which will be impacted by this overall expansion of the Van Samre International Airport. So far, we've had very good rapport and very good response from landowners. We have already received some positive response in terms of acceptance. I can safely say that. But of course, the negotiations are moving along still, and in short order, we're hoping to have more to say in that regard. But we have not swayed away from our plans. We believe the development of the Van Samre International Airport is key to our future development here on the island of Nevis. I've said before that indeed we have persons who fly these private jets who used to come to Van Samre International Airport in relatively good numbers. And in good time, they were to make their way to Nevis. They get here within a short period of time. Straight direct flight, from the United States to Nevis. Of course, in recent times, we have had some challenges at the Van Samre International Airport. Challenges with the runway, challenges with the lighting system, which of course is outdated, challenges with communications, and challenges all around in terms of space, apron space, parking space, fueling, and all that type of thing. We are certainly not in a position where we can say we are in the best of situations over there at the Van Samre International Airport. Over the years, you know, back in 2003, there about 2002, within that time frame, we had an upgrade done of the Van Samre International Airport where the runway was extended towards the castle. Persons who lived in that area were relocated to what we call, quote-unquote, Beverly Hills. And when I say Beverly Hills, a lot of persons would have gotten some very nice houses out there, which are still looking impressive, of course. And indeed, once that extension was done, we were able to accommodate the American Eagle, the turboprop, out of San Juan, and indeed aircraft of that size. But we were also able to accommodate jets like the Citation jet, I believe Learjet. So at some point, Gulfstreams would have landed over there as well too. Indeed, the airport was extended to 4,000 feet, which is not adequate enough for many of these jets, but some of them would have landed in the past, taken that chance and come in. What we have decided to do is to extend further because, of course, the demand is there. The demand is there for this, this destination. The demand is there for parking space. The demand is there for refueling services. The demand is there for everything that some of these operators are looking for. And that is why we have sought to engage the necessary persons and entities to explore the possibilities. Some years ago, we started talking to and engaging the company Perez Consulting, who would have had some exposure to airport developments here in the Caribbean. Most recent airport that was worked on by them was the Argyle Airport down there in St. Vincent, and that airport was constructed and is now in operation. Now, the reality with Newcastle is that space is, of course, limited over there. And many persons would say, why not go elsewhere to build an airport? And the question is where? There have been studies done throughout the island of Nevis, of course, down in Indian Castle, and you look for areas where you have landmass. For example, down in St. Vincent, that new airport spans, I believe, 275 acres. And indeed, you look around Nevis and you would want to think there may be the possibilities, but you'll have to remove so much in order to put an airport down. And I'll go further and say that if you were to build an international airport, let's say the size of what exists in St. Vincent, well, we'll be talking another 10 years, another 15, another 20 years, because there's so many different studies that has to be done in order to ensure. I was told by someone even to figure out if the wind direction and the wind is blowing the way, which would be in a safe manner. It takes almost 5 years for you to do wind testing alone or more. But I say all that to say that the realities we have at Newcastle is that we can get some additional runway length and additional space for parking and the necessary amenities that will support an expanded Van Summer International Airport. So that being said, we have engaged Perez Consulting, and I believe the Premier would have said that in short order we'll have a signing ceremony to engage him further to get the actual drawings or the architectural work done and all of the necessary technical work that needs to be done to get us to the level where we can start constructing or reconstructing, constructing or expansion of the Van Summer International Airport. So we believe that we're on the right track in terms of what our intentions are, in terms of ensuring that we can get at least 5,500 feet of runway. Yes, there are obstacles out there. There are obstacles in the west and there are obstacles on the east. I look at an airport, for example, London City Airport, which is what, about 4,800 feet of runway. They accommodate mostly these regional jet like the Embraer 175, the Embraer 190, or the Airbus 220. Those type of jets that carry just about 100 or 120 passengers, and that is situated right in the middle of a city, London City. But of course, airplanes come and they go. 4,800 feet of runway, I believe it is. So we know what the realities are when it comes to the airport. You have, unless it is in an isolated area somewhere, as they say, out in the boondocks where no one lives, you'll have some noise. You'll have that type of challenge to deal with, yes. But of course, we know that without an airport and people get into your country or to your island, then of course, why bother? Because if they can't get here, and the way people are traveling these days, they're looking for alternatives. If they cannot get to Nevis, they'll look for the next best place. For example, you can get out of New York and into the Bahamas easily. But we have a product that the Bahamas may not have. And we also want to ensure that we're in the competition out there, rubbing shoulders with the competition, meaning we are saying that we are as good as any and better than many, and that is why we have to put the infrastructure in place to ensure that we are accommodating persons who want to come directly to the island of Nevis. Yes, there is an international airport in St. Kitts, and yes, there have been persons who would have parked their jets there and catch a boat and come over. But we have lost out in the process too, because there are those who refuse to take a boat over to Nevis. When a person gets off of a Gulfstream, a G2, a G4, or whatever the case might be, and they're told to catch a boat, many are not really relishing that type of movement. They want to come to their destination where they disembark and they're met with a glass of wine, for example, get onto a limousine or get onto a taxi, get onto some sort of transportation, and in comfort go to their hotel, to their villa, or wherever. That is why every island around us is trying their best to upgrade and to get a much larger facility to accommodate what is out there. Since COVID-19, I can say to you that the demand for private jet travel has shot up tremendously. As a matter of fact, many of the companies out there that have these private jets flying around the world, they're purchasing more aircraft every week, every month, every year. When you follow the reports that are out there, everyone is buying new aircraft because there's an upsurge in the demand for air travel, and more so an upsurge in the demand for private jet travel as well too. People want to take their family, get out of that tube, they call it. You know this tube that American Airlines, them are flying around. Those jets, those 737, where you cramp up with 150 persons. There are persons who have the ways and means to pay for a jet from New York, to pay for a jet from London, to pay for a jet from even Asia, making some stops to get to Nevis. They will get here. But there are people who are picking up their families and they're traveling in style. And that is why we want to be a part of the game. The game is changing, and Nevis will have to change with the game to ensure that we're there playing along with all of the other entities, islands and countries out there that are doing their best to capture all of this business that is available in this particular segment of the market. Yes, those that are flying into St. Kitts, will still continue. We are not competing with St. Kitts. The American Airlines, the JetBlue, the British Airways 7, well, the 777s, all of those will continue to fly into St. Kitts. But the regional jets and the private jets that we're trying to capture, we want them to come to our shores so that they can park here, go and enjoy the island of Nevis, the amenities that we have to offer, and when they're ready to return to their destination, they can fly out of here and fly directly back. People are not interested in getting, if they want to get to point B, they don't want to go from point A to point C to point D to get back to point B. They want to fly from point A to point B. And like I said, if we are to develop as an island and see our true potential, this airport is a must, and this airport will be developed by the concerned citizens movement. We're moving towards that, and in short order, once we have engaged further our consultants in terms of the necessary legal paperwork to be done, contracts and so forth, then of course we will have the necessary consultation. We'll roll out all of the necessary drawings so that people can see what we are planning on doing over at the Van Summer International Airport. Those consultations will solicit the responses and the opinion and feedback of the general public, and indeed we won't go any further until the public knows exactly what we intend to do over there at the Van Summer International Airport. Indeed, the plans are also there to do some work on the terminal as well, because indeed over the years that has seen some deterioration in its condition. If we are to welcome the world, we want to welcome them in the best of environments. Yes, the fire hall, the facility for those firemen will be rebuilt, and indeed the fuel farm and storage facilities will be over there as well, so that we can sell and make money out of fuel. So all that will be divulged as we go along, but the whole idea is to improve the Van Summer International Airport so that we can reap the benefits, and knowingly that this is the way to go, and knowing that also there are huge spin-off that will be available to the island of Nevis in terms of jobs in the construction and also in the operations of that facility, because you'll need additional customs officers, air traffic officers, you'll need additional ramp attendant, aircraft cleaners, you'll need aircraft maintenance workers, you'll need security officers, you'll need a whole slew of employees over there to support what would be done over at the Van Summer International Airport. I'm looking for the glory days to return over at Van Summer, and also the people of Newcastle have always been associated with this airport in terms of hearing and seeing these jets land and take off. We'll get some activities over there once again.